Welcome to Titans of the Fantastic Web Series Talk Show.
Our December edition.
December.
I'm Larry Lytle of geekcool.com.
I'm your favorite unusual geek, Keith.
I'm Brittney Greer, the favorite. I'm Brittney.
Unusual.
Okay.
Unusual geek.
I'm Brittney Greer, your not favorite, from American Wasteland Entertainment.
We've got a show for you today, and we don't have a guest, but we've got a lot to talk about end of the year.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now.
I think we can just start with the story that everyone has been talking about, and I think they're going to be talking about for the next year, which is the huge deal that has been reached between Disney and Fox. And I have to say that this is probably the biggest thing I've ever have heard about since I've started, studying Hollywood and the business. This is huge. But, in one respect, it's really cool. Disney's going to get an opportunity to help themselves as far as launching their new network. Also, they get to get back control of the first Star Wars film, which Lucasfilm has never really had, and of course all of the Marvel characters they get. So that's okay. Yes, let's just go right into it. X-Men. How do you feel about that, Brittney?
That's the only thing I'm super excited about.
The only thing?
Well, okay. I think it's scary that they have just was it 52 billion, 54 billion?
Yes,
52?
2.4.
Yeah, 50. So there's a 4 in there.
Yeah,
So it's like $52.4 billion. That's terrifying. How do you just have that
Well, that
lying
was in stock
around?
options.
That's crazy.
How do you
to
get that
me.
many stock options out
Right,
there?
yeah, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of scary that the mouse is going to rule the world. I feel like that's what's going to happen is, you guys don't realize it, but there's an animated mouse that is literally pulling all of these strings, and he's alive, like Roger Rabbit style, just up there pulling switches and everything, which is kind of scary to me.
But is that better or worse than Congress and the president ruling the world? I mean, I'm kind of okay with
I don't know.
Steamboat Willie coming in and controlling
Just
the world. I'm okay with that.
Moving a wheel around. I am excited about the X-Men thing though, because I'm a huge X-Men fan.
Yes.
And my favorite characters have never been done justice, just Rogue and Gambit. Because my problem, which I enjoy a lot of the X-Men, I don't like all of them, but I enjoy a lot of the X-Men films that have come out for just getting to see X-Men, I guess, on screen. But my problem's always been, and we've discussed it before, but every end of the movie is, yeah, we're going to be X-Men. We're going to be X-Men next time. We're going to be in our X-Men suits next time. You're going to call us the X-Men next time. And then it's like, okay, so we're still not the X-Men. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm hoping that what I am going to get with these Disney movies is I am going to get a 90s cartoon version of the X-Men, which I don't care who you are, 90% of the people out there, that's what they want. When they think of X-Men, when they think of an X-Men movie, that's what they want. They want the 90s cartoon version.
Which was based off much of the 80s comics.
Right, yeah.
So you get the stories that were written by Claremont and drawn by Byrne onto the screen with that kind of, because the cartoon did pretty good justice to those storylines. I mean, they kind of dumbed it down a little bit at times, but that happens in cartoons. You can't tell as complex stories. But you have those versions of the characters out there. I think you're right. I think everybody would love to see that team show up. The mammoth team of X-Men and different things going on.
And their colors, and that's
colors,
something that's nice about Marvel is we've seen it with Guardian. The Infinity Wars trailer, I don't like that some of the costumes are lacking, their color. I'm sure that there's something going on behind that. But I don't like that some of the costumes are kind of lacking that color now.
Right.
Because that's something that I've always really liked about Marvel, is that to an extent they're going to give you a pretty screen accurate comic book costume versus versus what you're reading, you know? So I'm hoping that with X-Men, we're going to get Wolverine in, the yellow and blue with, like, the black stripes, or the orange, you know what I mean? Like, or the orangish brown. But it's like, I want Rogue in green and yellow with a bomber jacket flying around. I want her flying around. I want her punching people. I want Gambit in pink and blue with black and a brown trench coat. I mean, that's what I want. Disney, I need you to do this. I need you to make this happen. For me specifically.
My two favorite characters on X-Men also have not been treated well.
What?
Kitty Pryde and Iceman.
Yeah.
Really have not gotten the justice that they need as characters. So I'm with you 100%. And I like Rogue and Gambit. I like them both. So I'm with you completely. They are. They are.
The fact that, I mean, just like kind of going like complex, I guess, but like not even just them as like their abilities are cool and like they would be cool abilities to see, but the fact that they're in love and it's like they can't be together. It's like Rogue like used to be a bad guy, now she's a good guy. It's like they've never portrayed that in the movies. It's like she was part of the Brotherhood. It's like that's cool. It's cool. Why is she a good guy now? Like what? Like what tricked that in her mind to be a good guy? Like why is Gambit, who is also used to be a bad guy? Like, why is that person willing to stay with someone that he can't actually be with?
Right.
Like, that stuff is interesting. Like, those are fun things that you could bring to screen. But it's like they just haven't done it. Like, I don't know why. I mean, it's just like, you gotta be like, pew, 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 pew. Like, shooting lasers. Like, that's all they want to do. And it's like, who cares about the stories or like the characters? Like, let's just make them do cool abilities.
Well,
and we'll call it an X-Men movie.
Well, now, given how you both feel about X-Men, how do you also feel about Fantastic Four arriving in the MCU?
Well, the only thing, because we've discussed before, I'm not a huge Fantastic Four fan. The movies haven't bothered me like they've bothered a lot of people because I'm not a huge fan. So it's harder for me to be like, gosh darn it, those Fantastic Four movies aren't what they should be. You know what I mean? Because I enjoyed them. Like the new one they did, I don't think it was a Fantastic Four movie. I don't think it was horrible.
Right.
I mean, everybody said,
movie. Yeah,
everybody said it was the worst movie ever. I don't think it was the worst movie ever.
No.
I've seen a lot worse. But I think it's, again, I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting to see what they're going to do with it. I feel bad for all of these people that have been these characters. It's worked out for Chris Evans, obviously. But, all these people that have been these characters that probably would have excelled as these characters if they would have been under the Marvel Disney umbrella, that now are going to get a chance to excel as that. Well, so I kind of feel bad.
I never felt like Jessica Alba was a very good fit. And I love Jessica Alba. But Jessica Alba is not the blonde Sue Richards kind of character. She never really fit that mold. So I was, so I'm actually kind of happy to see this. I'm not the world's biggest Fantastic Four fan either, but I love how they interact in the Marvel Universe. And I love what that can mean, because that can pull in some really cool stuff going on. We've already seen the Watchers. So you could have them be more of those space exploring scientist sort of things, which they do in the comics. But you can also have them using super abilities and stuff. That could be a lot of fun. You could do some really cool stuff with them, especially if if Avengers 4 continues to evolve. If you could throw them in the mix somewhere, that would be awesome. I love that. And Johnny Storm is just a really fun character. He's kind of a jerk, but so is Reed Richards. He's really a jerk, but not because he's absent-minded and pays no attention. But
Chickless wants to play. That just came out. Chickless wants to play the Thing.
Again?
Yeah, he said that.
I don't have any problem with that.
He's like campaigning pretty hard, like, hey, he's like, let me do it, like, let me be in it again, let me do it, like, because in his mind, he's like, I'm still the right age.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm the age for this,
Well, being the Thing, you're going to turn into the Thing pretty quickly, or they may just bring you in and explain the backstory later. You don't have to. You can just have the team show up and have an adventure. I think that's another big problem with a lot of these movies, a lot of the X-Men movies.
a few of the Marvel movies, not all of them, but a few of the Marvel movies, the X-Men movies, like the Fantastic Four movies. I feel like that's kind of one of the problems they have, is they feel like they have to do an origin story for everybody. And people, okay, so like people like Wonder Woman and Black Panther and like Aquaman and Ant-Man, like people that most people have no idea who they are, by all means, do a backstory for them, especially when they're people that haven't been on screen before. You know, like Wonder Woman hasn't been on the big screen before. Aquaman hasn't been on the big screen before. Like, by all means, then give them backstories. But like Fantastic Four, I think the best thing you could do for the Fantastic Four is drop them into an existing universe with these Marvel characters, and they are already the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
You don't have to go into great explanation of, well,
this person,
this is what happened to us. This is who our main bad guy is. This is why we're here in space. It's like, don't do any of that. Just randomly drop these people in. You have enough Marvel characters that say like what the audience is thinking, that you could have Star-Lord say something like, whoa, that guy's arm just stretched. Did you see that guy's arm stretched? That guy's arm stretched.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's one of us. You know what I mean? Like, you can do some weird thing like that. Everyone's going to laugh in the theater, and it's fine.
Right.
And that's such a
even,
problem with these movies.
You can even run it to where, you know, you could have, say, like Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
You could find out that it was him and his country that were the first that wanted to get the whole treaty that they ended up doing at the UN that the Avengers had to sign.
Yeah, right.
Because his country was on the border with the country where it all happened.
Right.
And so he was going to use that as sort of like a leverage there to be able to keep out anyone. Because the way that's written is that you're not allowed to go to another country to do whatever, even if it is to help out without permission from that country.
Right.
Thus, Latvia could just go, well, we don't need you.
Right.
We don't want your help. We just kind of want these robots here. It's fine.
And our great dictator that we love.
Yes.
Yeah, we're fine.
So, yeah, okay.
Don't help us.
So I think the next big thing that's happened that we haven't had a chance to talk about since the last show is the whole Quentin Tarantino and Star Trek idea, which for me started out when I first heard about it being a little weird, but now as we've established in the previous show how messed up everything is as far as Trek and the rights and how the films have to be a certain way, this all works.
Is it going to be rated R? That's my
It's a
question.
Tarantino film.
I don't know. I mean, and I could be wrong, but I don't know of a Tarantino film that's not rated R.
No, right.
Well, now Tarantino has actually worked on in other people's properties before. He's done work on ER, directing episodes of that and various other shows.
They were all R-rated, but that's okay.
Right, yeah, it's like there's like these crazy director's cuts on each
ER.
of the DVD sets. Go and buy them. See if you can pick
But
this out.
I think overall, I think Tarantino and this idea obviously was good enough to get J.J. Abrams on board, and good enough that he pitched it right to the powers that be at Paramount. So they're down with it. And I'm assuming that this will be using the characters that you've seen in the J.J. Abrams films.
Same actors?
Same actors.
That's interesting.
Because
This
didn't
is the same actors.
Picard say he would come back? Not Picard, but
Patrick
Yeah,
Stewart.
Patrick Stewart say he
Yeah.
would come back.
He said he would.
He can't be in the same universe with the new one, though, right?
I think
I
he's
don't
just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think it's
Maybe
just
cool
one
with
of those, I'll do it if you want.
I don't know. I'm not a Tarantino fan. I've got one of my good friends, Chris Wilson, who's a big time geek, thinks Tarantino is the greatest director of our generation. And I understand that, but I don't get Tarantino. I'm the obsessive cursing and everything else, and not that I can't handle some cursing. I watch a Tarantino film and I'm like, Hateful Eight I thought was okay, but I didn't love it.
You
But
like the
some of
first Kill Bill? I loved Kill Bill.
actually, the second Kill Bill I like better than the first one.
Matt
Now,
likes the second one better than the
the first one, I'll tell you what bothered me the first one. And this is strange, but it's because I'm a father of a young daughter at the time it came out. And the animated cartoon they threw in the middle to explain with a little girl seeing her parents killed and the blood seeping through the thing. I was like, I'm out.
His teeth shattering. That gets me every time when he's
the fight scene at the end, super cool. If it would have been all that, I would have been the whole kung fu theater thing. Right. I was down with that. But when they took it over the top, and again, it was the animated film. It wasn't the blood spewing for everybody else and all the bad language. It was that part.
The crazy 88 is why I like that movie so much. I love that.
I understand.
I love that.
I'm not hating on that. Now, Pulp Fiction is not one of the films I enjoy at all. I watched that and went, there was not one redeeming character in the whole movie. I hated this movie. And my buddy Curtis is like, this is one of the worst movies of all time. Okay, I don't get it. But you know what? We all have differences on what we like, and that's not my thing. So I say all that to say,
I love Death Proof.
I would hate to see Tarantino destroy Trek for me. Mm-hmm. But I know Tarantino is a great director, so if within certain bounds, and he's not going to destroy the characters for me, okay, I will try anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be rated R.
Yeah,
I don't think it.
It'll be interesting.
I think it'll be PG. I think it'll be a hard PG-13.
Mm-hmm. Well, probably.
But I don't
probably
think
what I'm taking my son to.
I don't think it'll be R though. I don't think it'll be.
Well, R. I took my 8-year-old to see Star Wars last night, which is PG-13, and I didn't hesitate for that. But if you're telling me it's a Tarantino Trek film, I'm hesitating completely. I'll have to see this thing probably twice before I even think about letting you see it.
I feel like there's gonna be like a weird alien sex scene in it. Like that's what when you say Tarantino and Star Trek, that's what I'm thinking is gonna happen.
Right.
It could just be I could be the only one that thinks that, but I feel like that's gonna happen. Or
Kurt could very well have sex with aliens.
Yeah,
I mean, he's already done that.
You're gonna see a bunch of alien feet. That's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a bunch of alien feet. That's what's gonna happen.
Or
calling it now.
Or more.
That's what's gonna happen.
Well, okay.
What's your thoughts, Keith? You've been pretty quiet on.
I look at it this way. Having learned now how Trek is under the way that both Paramount and CBS Incorporated are running everything. As far as I'm concerned, the Trek that I grew up with has now officially just been frozen and placed off to the side, and that everything else that we're getting is part of this new idea that the powers that be wanted to be. And again, a lot of people think that you can't reboot Trek, but that's exactly what Discovery is. Discovery is a rebooting of the basic Trek idea. It's not added into, it is a complete reboot. So if you're watching it and you're enjoying it, then you got no room to complain about a Tarantino Star Trek film. That's the way I feel about it. Anything can happen. Anybody can do anything they want now. And again, on one hand, I'm sad about it, but on the other hand, I'm kind of excited about it. I don't really hate Discovery. I just want it to. I want the people that make the show to understand that they should be truthful with all the fans and just say, yeah, okay, we took your idea and we just rebooted the entire thing. And that'd be great, but that this is not really what we're used to. And that's fine, and if you can pay whatever it is a month for CBS All Access to get a completely rebooted Trek and not say
anything. Right, because that's really what you're paying for.
Yeah. But then turn around and be mad because J.J. Abrams, under orders of Paramount, did what he did with all his movies, especially Into Darkness, and you have a problem with that, but not a problem with Star Trek Discovery. It's hypocritical, Tarantino can come in and do whatever he wants. I'm kind of excited about it. The possibilities are cool.
I bet you he's gonna slow it down, because a lot of, nothing against J.J. Abrams, but Star Trek, and I'm not a big Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
So so take what I say with a grain of salt when it comes to this, or anything I say. But with Star Trek, and because Knight likes Star Trek, the original shows were more about discovery,
right?
Going to trying to do things peacefully and trying to discover stuff and learn more about other cultures and bring cultures together. Like that's kind of what it was more about. It was more of like a thinking show.
Yeah, very cerebral.
And like you had like deep character things, and then J.J. Abrams, again, nothing against him. Obviously, he's good enough to have these movies because I don't have them. But he made him a shoot 'em up, like.
Well, that was what he was left with.
Right, but I mean that's what it is. It's oh, we gotta have like space chases. Like instead of a car chase, let's have space chases, things exploding.
Yeah, that's because the powers that be at Paramount
and
and their parent company, CBS Incorporated, they believe that you can't get people to watch Trek anymore unless you make it more like.
And I don't think that's true. Yeah, and I don't think that's true at all.
I agree with you.
But I'm thinking Tarantino. If Tarantino takes over, I think a lot of that's going to slow down.
Yeah.
Like I think he is going
Lots
to
of
make
dialogue.
it, very talk heavy, which it should be. I mean, it should be. I feel like it should be because like Star Trek's like their last resort would be to fight.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But like in the new movies, it's like everybody get your lasers out. Like let's be ready to shoot somebody in the face like right away. You know, instead of being like, hey, let's try and talk this out. Like, because we're here to be peaceful, not get into a spaceship race with you.
No, I don't know, because Star Trek was originally pitched as a science fiction western, and that was kind of the idea. And so this kind of really fits with kind of the western mentality with that. And I see a lot of watching, because I've been rewatching some of the original series, and a lot of that time it is actually going in and punching first or shooting first. It's not always thinking of peaceful ways to handle it. Now, Spock usually tries to balance that out and does that factor there. But I can't tell you an episode that Kirk doesn't get into a fist fight with somebody.
Yeah.
That's Kirk's time. I guess I'm thinking more for Picard.
Well, right. Now, Next Generation is a lot more. Right. But the original series, which is what Discovery is supposed to be before, but in a different timeline or whatever, that's more of that time where it's truly more of a Western. So I think that actually kind of fits with it. And maybe it's Hateful Eight meets a Star Trek. Maybe that's the Tarantino film. I don't know.
I think we call that Discovery.
All right.
We'll see.
Now we've reached a point where, it's getting to be that time of the year where everybody wants to, put together remembrances and look back at the year that we've had in 2017.
Right.
A lot has happened.
Yes.
But I think what I look at when I think of 2017 are a lot of the major anniversaries.
Right.
Things that have had an effect on geek lifestyle and really have helped Nerd Nation grow. At the beginning of which I think are the centennial anniversaries of both Will Eisner and Jack Kirby. Both of whom are, I think, critical pieces in the development and the eventual success of comics. Will Eisner is just comics. I think if you do not know who this man was and what he has given to the art form, you need to start picking up some Will Eisner comics. This dude did it all. He did everything until.
Do they have an Eisner award?
Yes, that's the top award.
That's why
that's the Oscar.
That's why they have it.
Right.
Is because of him specifically.
He is the man behind. Well, the character most associated with him is the Spirit.
Right.
And various other characters he developed, like John Law. Ooh, geez, John. But the thing about Will Eisner is just that many of the different types of comics that you've seen, whether you're getting into all talk or just comics where it's more visual than even based on your dialogue. I mean, this is a man whose career stretched long enough for him to basically become a pioneer in all the different types of comic storytelling. Right. So, obviously he's a name you need to know. You need to go to your local comic book retailer and just pick up any Will Eisner that you can find.
The Comic Cave.
.com.
Go visit Josh. Go visit Josh and Shaggy over the comic
The
cave.
other thing you can do is to visit a local library, because a lot of times they will have a lot of that stuff. And that way you can kind of check out what you're interested in first.
Yep.
And they even have books on Will Eisner.
Mhm.
So check out Will Eisner, because
Yep.
there's a lot of cool history there. And that man did everything.
Oh, and then, of course, Jack the King Kirby.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
look, 2017 is definitely his year. Between Thor Ragnarok, between Justice League, between just the tribute that DC paid him by bringing back some of the characters and allowing runs of these characters as drawn and written by some of the newer artists today. Oh man, I mean, just excuse me, the Fourth World stuff alone is enough to have gotten someone like Kirby onto, I think, the Mount Rushmore of comics.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's definitely there, yeah.
And I gotta say, all of his characters, whether you're talking Fantastic Four, which I still believe really is more his than Stan Lee's.
Sure.
Not anything against Stan, love Stan, but I think Fantastic Four was really all about how far Jack Kirby could push the boundaries of comics and what he was able to do with his talent. It's definitely something that the films need to really check into. But
Look at it.
but also
Don't screw it up.
Jack Kirby is just an incredible individual, and you can find all kinds of books. You can even go onto YouTube. There's a documentary on his life that you should really check out. If you, again, have no idea who I'm talking about, as soon as this video's over, you need to go to either your favorite comic book retailer,
Comic Cave.
.com, or to your local library, and just check out as much Jack Kirby as you can. And when you're done, check out more.
Right.
And you can always go to, like, talking about like the library to kind of see what you like. When you go to the Comic Cave, because I'm just assuming you guys are going to do that since we told you to. You can ask Josh and Shaggy.
Oh,
you can tell them like what you're interested in. You know, like if you're interested in like detective type stuff, you can say, I really like detective stories. I don't know what type of comic I should get into. Like, can you help me? And that's something that they would be happy to kind of help you, like steer you into, you know, not just necessarily DC or Marvel, but, you know, Image or, the Image stuff, you know, the boom comics and everything. So, I mean, you can tell them your likes and they can kind of help place you in to a comic to see if that's something that you would like, so you can start picking them up.
And you're not in Springfield, Missouri, say you're in California or Massachusetts or something like that. Your local comic book store should be able to do that. If they are not able to do that for you, you need to find a new comic store.
Yes.
And speaking of Image was also one of the major anniversaries from this year. It's the 25th anniversary of the start of Image Comics. Okay, again, there's a documentary on YouTube. You should check that out. But for me, Image was really that one comic book company that just really seemed to be all about just, I mean, it was all of the adventure and the excitement of what the 90s was.
Right.
And these guys doing what they did and breaking away from Marvel and DC to form their own company, as impossible as it may have seemed. I mean, we're just living really in an age right now that I think they had more to do with crafting than just about than really both Marvel and DC. Really, I think I just can't really. These last 20 years in comics alone would have been radically different had it not been for Image.
Right.
No, and for those that don't know, Image Comics was created by a bunch of creators from DC and Marvel, came together to break off and do their own thing so they could do what they wanted to with their own characters, including McFarlane's Spawn and many other characters.
Yeah.
Now, the one problem with Image is the clothes, the outfits of some of the characters are very, very, has that whole 90s comic thing, which DC and Marvel went in and pretty much copied.
Yeah.
Probably the worst looking costumes ever in comics. So, but in saying that, I mean, there was a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
He said a lot of cool stuff, especially in the beginning, and they've come around to really kind of finding their niche and what they're doing now. So they have some great stuff there now.
Jim Lee is just phenomenal.
Jim Lee is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I've met Jim Lee. Jim Lee's a great guy.
Oh,
I wish I could.
He was at Planet Comic Con, I don't know, 15 years ago or
at
something.
least.
And
he was nice.
And there was a line for him, and
He signed everything.
He did, and I came up and I was in his line, and I bought something just for him to sign. He took the time to step over the side, take a picture with me, talk to me, shake my hand, and there's a line mile long, and people were just happy to wait because he's one of the nicest guys, and he's a great artist.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I'm meeting Jim Lee, and he's nice.
I follow him on Instagram, and he does this cool thing where he shows you the sketch, and then he shows the inks, and then he shows the color, which is really neat.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just like because I draw, so it's like cool. Because a lot of people don't like doing that. A lot of people don't like showing stuff until it's completely finished, and it's cool that he's secure enough as an artist to show you, but then it's also neat because I feel like he's maybe helping artists too, to say like, this is what it looks like, here's where it goes, this is where we finish. And so it's neat. So it shows you like 3 different versions of the same piece. And a lot of times like the inked version is like usually my favorite anyways, like without the color, like seeing what he does like with the inks is like, it's awesome. You guys should follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, he's worth your time. Really.
Agreed.
Again, just go to your local comic book retailer and either just ask them, image anything. Savage Dragon's one of my favorites.
Savage Dragon, yes.
Any of the Jim Lee stuff, any of the Spawn stuff. I mean, really, and Rob Liefeld. Fun guy. It's all just good stuff. It's all just good stuff. Now, as far as the next major anniversary, and we do mean major anniversary, it's the 40th anniversary of Star Wars this year. And again,
I am wearing a Halloween shirt. It's Halloween all year round.
And it's Star Wars.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. I mean, come on. I mean, if you don't like Star Wars, what are you doing watching us?
Well, and there's a lot of things we bring that maybe for those non-Star Wars, because there are people that think Star Wars is not a science fiction movie. It's a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
But it's also a science fiction movie. And those kind of merge together with it. And people that argue, there are hardcore Trek fans that will say Star Wars is horrible. And I love you fans. That's great. Everybody has to have
like both.
You can. And I do like both. I'm more of a Star Wars guy, but I like both a lot.
You can like both Buffy and Angel.
You sure
can like both DC and Marvel. You can like Image and Dark Horse. It doesn't matter.
Preach it, girl.
You know why I like Star Trek?
You can
and
like
Star Wars.
Yeah,
it
you can like
matter.
chocolate ice cream and chocolate chip ice cream.
Right? Exactly. That's the best one. That is really accurate. But yeah, like you can like everything because like we've discussed it. I like Star Wars. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't get it. I don't get why you can't like everything.
Right.
I just get hated on so much lately.
Well, and if you don't
and it just
like
drives
it,
me crazy.
if you don't like it, don't like it. You don't have to tell everybody else not
Yeah,
to
just
like
be nice
it.
about it.
If I like something and you don't, that's okay. If you like something that I don't, that's okay too. It's okay as a fan to look back and say, I don't have the same appreciation they do for that, but it's cool that they do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just don't hate on people for it. There's no sense. Just because you don't like it.
Let me quote Will Wheaton for you. Don't be a dick. Just don't be.
Don't.
So,
Don't.
and Will can be sometimes. I love you, Will, but
He did show up. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He did show up in a Star Trek. Like,
and
Star
people were
Trek.
booing him.
Yeah, and people were flipping him off.
You
I
know
would have
what?
taken a picture with him.
You know what? Yeah, I would have too. I would be
Because
like,
he
let
was
me have a
doing it
picture.
as a gag. I mean, he was doing it to be funny.
And then I'd be hoping I'd be wearing a Jedi robe or
Right?
something. Like,
Yeah,
let's show you can be both. Because
Right.
he's coming to a Star Wars movie in that. That
He
means he
supported
likes
the
both.
movie. Yeah,
He
he supported
is.
the movie.
Come
He
on.
gave him his money, so it's like,
Exactly.
screw him.
I think that's
And
hysterical.
I'm sure he ate it up, too.
I'm sure, because he likes being
Yeah,
kind of
he
that
likes,
guy.
yeah, he likes being the heel. Which is more fun. It's more fun being with you, I think.
It can be.
sometimes.
It gives you freedom. You don't have to worry about it.
It
What are you
does.
gonna I don't care what you think. Will Wheaton is already the old 88-year-old man. Like, I don't care what you think.
Right.
I'm gonna do what I want. Kiss my butt. I don't care.
Exactly. We should all have that mentality. I'm gonna start having that mentality.
As you should.
People are
You're
so
awesome.
mean.
You're awesome.
People are so
People that are
mean.
mean suck.
They do. There's no sense in being mean. Just none. Just be happy we live in a day and age where you have 55,000 different movies to choose
We
from.
are living in the golden age of geekdom.
Right.
It really is, right? There's so much good stuff in everything out there. Movies, television, comics, everything.
And you know what? That reminds me. We have our list.
We do.
Okay.
We do.
Top 5 geek television series. We're going to start out with Larry. What are your top 5 geek TV series
for 2017? And I've got them in order. But my order is it's been in my head rolling around, so I'm going to go with this now on tape. This can change, but and some of this is because I don't have cable, so I'm not always up on everything. Like, I don't get to watch Game of Thrones unless
Does
somehow.
that count?
I would think it counts,
Yeah,
but I don't
Game of
have it on
Thrones
my
counts.
list because I don't get to watch it. I've got the first season on DVD or Blu-ray or something,
I'm
but
currently changing my list because I
Yeah.
didn't know if that would count.
oh, sure it would count. So number 1 I've got as Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
That show, I just love that show. I think it's, all I can say is it's number 1. I get so excited for it. I'm disappointed that we may not get another season until 2019.
Like Game of Thrones.
Number 2 is Daredevil. And get 2 Netflix shows right in a row, but Daredevil I think is just so awesome. The way they've done that series, it's amazing to me. I like the other stuff that came out this year with it. I did like The Figures and I did like Iron Fist, and some people are hating on both. I enjoyed both. They don't make my top 5, but they're probably up there in my top 10, definitely top 15 list. But Daredevil makes that list right up there. The newest show on here, Orville. I'm loving Orville. It's Star Trek, but not. And I love how they take things seriously, but there's always that level of humor underneath it. And I'm not a huge Family Guy person or anything like that, but I'm really digging Orville. The one that always makes my list, Doctor Who. Loving Doctor Who still. And I'm not caught up on the current season, but I do love my Doctor Who. And talking about that, Walking Dead. I got to the end of last season because I'm watching it on Netflix, and
How has it not been spoiled? Has this
I
been
tried
spoiled for you?
anything that says Walking Dead, I just avoid.
People
So,
are.
but I had a lot of spoilers last year. A lot of stuff was spoiled when I finally watched it last year. I knew what was going to happen. I knew who was going to die. I couldn't help but know. But I'm still loving it. So, but
People
not
are
having cable is tough.
People are calling for the showrunners job.
Oh, I
right
heard
now.
that with the
Yeah.
mid-season finale.
Yeah.
I've heard enough to know. I see a headline and avoid. So.
Yeah.
So
do
those
avoid.
are my top 5, Keith.
Wow.
Good
Brittney,
list.
your top 5 TV shows.
Was Daredevil in 2017?
I thought
The
there was.
Defenders.
No, Defenders was,
Okay,
right?
Yes.
Okay, well then.
I wish Jessica
I think I
Jones
said-
was. I'm still
Jessica.
I'm still
New season's
really
coming?
into that one, yeah. So my top one in 2017 has already been canceled. But Blood Drive,
Yes.
to me, hands down, probably the best show that came out in 2017. Like, literally, as far as like creative, like the cast and the crew that they put together, the writing was great. It really kind of stuck its nose up to kind of like the studio system. There's a lot of jokes about that, like where, because the Blood Drive is like a television show, and in one episode, one of the main characters actually has to call into the studio, and they're like, oh, we want more of this, and it's like, give us more money and we'll give you that. So, they were actually kind of writing in some of the issues they were having with the studio in the show. It was a sci-fi show, probably one of the best sci-fi shows I've ever seen. It was like a hard R.
Right.
But it was great. It was like a grindhouse television show, but each episode was like stylized like a different Grindhouse movie, but it was all one connected story. I'm still hashtagging renew Blood Drive every Wednesday because that's when it came on. So for me, 2017 was all about Blood Drive. I'm a huge Blood Drive fan. I wish they would just pick it up for a second season. Alan Richardson is Hawk in the Titans show. So I think it's going to be harder to get him. The lead's in another show on CW that's pretty good called Valor. So we'll see. So my number one is Blood Drive. If I could just have Blood Drive on my list, I would. But since we're doing 5.
And I look forward to seeing this when it comes to where I can stream it. Because
it's really,
even though it's definitely more your style and your night style and that sort of thing really fits you guys, but I'm interested in it.
Yeah, even the colors. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they did a lot of fun colors with like the lighting and they just had all these crazy weird characters and there's a lot of really funny moments and there was a lot of really emotional moments. It blew me away. I cried during a couple of episodes just because I wasn't expecting like an emotional tie with what I had seen prior. But anyways, you should watch it. It's not, obviously it didn't get a second season. Who knows? It could be picked up down the line. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping for. But Blood Drive, watch it. Game of Thrones, because I didn't think that got to count, but so I changed my list. Game of Thrones last season was phenomenal. The dragons cried. I won't say it in case some people haven't seen it.
Have not.
Cried. I cried a couple times in that season too. Dragons looked legit. Like I'm pretty sure dragons are real now. Like I'm pretty sure dragons are real.
Just from the pictures I saw, I thought, oh crap, I've got to see this.
Yeah, like
It's worth your time.
I know. It's just a matter of having to pay for it since I don't have HBO.
I'm telling you right now, dragons are real. So go check that out. I was not a fan of last season of Gotham. I like what they're doing this season. I still think they're kind of floundering because I feel like they don't know exactly what to do because they brought in so many villains so early. But this year's mid-season finale was good enough to get me through last year into this year with what we're going to see in January. I think that's when it comes back, January or February. So Gotham's on my list just because what I'm going to get to have.
I like the fact that they used a little-known character from the comics, Professor Pig.
Oh gosh. And that's been some of their best stuff.
Yeah.
Like some of their absolute, and that's something that me and Knight talked about, is if they would structure their show to where like the season where we had Jerome, and it was like a 3 to 4 episode arc to where it takes you through into the mid-season finale.
Right.
Instead of burning through so many bad guys, do like what they did with Professor Pig. I don't like what they did. I don't like what they did at the end. That was a dumb decision on their part. But like do like a 4-episode, 5-episode story arc where it carries you through your mid-season into another problem, or do what a lot of the old CW shows or like Buffy, like where you have a few bad guys here and there, but your overall bad guy is saved for the end, and that's what you're building towards. Yeah, and that's what you're building towards, and that's what a lot of these newer shows I think are losing and forgetting, and then they're just burning through these bad guys, and it's making their overall story suffer. But so Gotham is my third, so it's 3 for me, just because of what we're gonna get to see next. I don't want to spoil it in case anybody hasn't seen it, but I have screenshots of it on my phone and I'll show you what I'm talking about when we're done. Another one that I have, it's kind of surprising for me, didn't think I would like this show, Riverdale.
Yeah.
It's kind of girly and soap opera type.
My daughter loves it.
This is why I like it. It feels like Twin Peaks.
But with meets Archie.
Meets Archie. That's what it feels like. I mean, they have Twin Peaks characters in it. You know, the mom is from Twin Peaks, and she's phenomenal. She's super great. And like Skeet Ulrich, I'm a huge Scream fan. Skeet Ulrich is in it. I love getting him to see him doing stuff again. But like, yeah, I like Riverdale, so that's my number 4. It's fun, but it feels very Twin Peak-esque. Like it feels like they tried to make Twin Peaks for like teenagers.
Right.
And I like it. And again, colors. I'm big into like like colors and lighting, and it makes it feel kind of like a comic book. And when they go to Pops, you know, they have neon blue and neon pink, and that's how their lighting is at nighttime because that's the neon sign coming in.
Mhm.
So Riverdale's number 4 for me. I am not caught up with this yet, but Supernatural is my 5th, just because I love supernatural stuff, and I love the Winchesters. So
I think this season's better.
yeah, and I'm not caught up all the way, so I haven't got to see. I haven't
I'm
got to
not
see a
caught up either,
a lot of this season. But it's one of those I think that's always going to kind of be on my list, just because I feel like it is done enough for supernatural, like the supernatural genre, that it should kind of have your vote, because they're doing some amazing things, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do with like the Wayward sisters. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how that pans out.
Finally, females that we don't kill off right away.
Right? Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know, but that's my top 5. Long story short.
Okay, well,
My top
then
5.
my top 5. I'm going to start out with the honorable mentions.
Oh.
Gotham, which again, for me, these last 3 seasons have been worth it. I can't say that I found no fault, but out of a lot of television shows that are based on comics, I feel that the writers and producers of Gotham have figured out the right formula that works for the story that they're trying to tell. And they give you amazing visuals. And the fact that they film on location, to me, helps with the look and the feel of the show. I love the cast. I may not agree with every decision that they've made on the show,
Right.
but it's always entertaining.
I hated what they did with Barbara. So they had Barbara. I hated what they did with her, and it just kept getting worse. And this season, I really like what they're doing with Barbara. However, what it feels like they're doing Gotham City Sirens without the right characters.
Yeah.
Right? Do you get that vibe?
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like. It feels like it's Kat and Tabby and Barbara. So it feels like you've got 2 Catwomans and a Harley is what it feels like, which I like those 3 together. But it's like, it just kills me because I want a Gotham City Sirens movie so badly. And I like what they're doing with Barbara, but it's like, don't make her Harley Quinn. Just don't do it. Margot's got it. She's got it covered. Don't make her Harley Quinn.
My second honorable mention is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Last year, to me, was a turning point. Last season was a turning point. If you are not watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you should have started last season, because that was just phenomenal. I may not like the last story arc that they had, but it was good. And then my final honorable mention is The Gifted. I've been very surprised with how good that show is. Now, I do have it's not perfect, because I do have a problem. Look, my thing is, I care about all of the mutants, but the family, I don't care about them. I really don't. And it's nothing against them personally, the actors or anything. It's just that having read X-Men comics, it's great to see these characters. The family is kind of new. They're not really in the comics, and so I'm having a hard time adjusting, but it's still a good show. It's it's on my list of must-see shows every week. Now, as far as the list, number 5, Sci-Fi's The Expanse.
Oh, yeah.
This is a show that if you are not watching it, you really, really need to be. I don't care if you're a Star Trek fan. I don't care if you're a fan of just even shows like Battlestar Galactica. This is true science fiction on a level that I think you will be better for it watching that show. And it is just a good show.
A better person.
I think so.
It is on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Because I've got it set to watch on Amazon Prime.
It is one of the few TV shows that's literally like a book. And it is based on a book. It's based on a series of books. But the way that they do this particular series works. And it is just a lot of fun to sit down and watch. Even if you binge it, it's good stuff. Let's see, my 4th on my list is Westworld. Oh my goodness, Westworld.
We haven't. We haven't. Seen
Yeah,
it.
you should. It is again, this is another one of those shows that it is worth the investment to spend that time watching the show. And when you like in the best possible sense, when you figure out what this show's actually really about, when you get to the halfway point of the series and you figure out what you're actually watching, and then when you get to the final episode and everything clicks into place and you realize the story you are being told and how it's being told, genius, freaking genius. This is a show that I'm just happy HBO is doing. I'm happy for the entire cast. Ed Harris, oh my goodness, just good stuff. The Orville is number 3. There's no way I could have gone this season without the Orville. It is real Star Trek as far as I'm concerned, and it is just flat out.
It's just awesome, yeah.
It is just good to watch. It feels good to watch those episodes every week.
Yes.
You don't feel right unless you've seen the Orville for that week. You know?
I mean, I
So
feel
it's number
okay.
3 on both of our lists.
Yes.
I mean, I feel okay.
Number 2.
I'm not a big Seth MacFarlane.
I'm not either. I'm not either, but I think
It works.
but it works. It's different.
I like, that's what's crazy. I was like, I love Family Guy, I love American Dad, but I just don't, it's something about him, I think. Like it's, I don't know, me, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to talk negative. I don't like talking negative.
Number 2, this series came out of nowhere for me. And again, you two will, because I've talked about it before. It's Legion on FX.
No, I like Legion.
Oh my goodness, Legion was so good. See, if the X-Men films had been this good, I never would have really hated on them too much. Legion is worth your time, and if they've managed to nail down Patrick Stewart, who did say he would be willing to reprise his role as Professor X for this show, given the quality of it,
And he was like
Does it?
done.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, I'm done. I'm finished.
I think even he has been impressed with the quality of the Legion is worth your time. If you've not seen that, because they've only had this one season,
Yeah,
it's one of the best seasons I've ever
So
seen.
does it tie into Gifted at all? Or
No.
It's
It's
actually two
two
separate
things.
things.
I didn't know if it's 2 separate universes or if maybe they could cross it some more.
It technically they probably could if they really tried, but
I'm just
but
curious.
I don't think it was in the
I-
cards.
yeah,
It wasn't
right, sure.
necessarily-
I just like the fact that what this show presents and how it presents it and how the material is handled is just so well done. It is worth your time. But my number 1,
I'm excited.
What's
to
number
hear-
one?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Number one?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's so good.
I got to give it up to Joe Bauer and all the visual effects people on that show. Phenomenal job. This season is all the actors, everybody that works on it. This has just been great. And if you've never seen the show,
Man, it's good.
it is
It
good,
good.
especially when you get to this point. It's because
It's like it's all just been building.
Yes.
Winter is here,
all
folks.
these little things they've been laying out during the course of the show. You can finally see everything coming together.
Winter
And it
is
is-
here.
Oh man, it was just
Yeah, and another, we were talking earlier, it's not coming back till 2019.
Yeah.
Which is devastating.
yes.
It is
Maybe I can get
devastating.
caught up by then. So, well,
Yeah.
my challenge is twofold. Of course, I don't have HBO, which is why I'm not watching Westworld. I saw the first episode and was like, wow, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were offering it free on something, so I watched the first episode. And then I watched the first season of Game of Thrones, and I've caught different episodes back when I had cable for free weekends and thought, man, this is a show I wish I could watch, but I'm going to have to go buy the different series and watch them that way. But the other problem I have was when I did watch my DVD or Blu-ray
Have to be
set,
careful.
my wife would walk in at the wrong time. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like,
Everybody
what are
always
you
walks in
watching?
at the wrong time.
it's
Um,
it's a fantasy. I bet that's a fantasy show.
Oh,
It's happened twice. It's happened twice with shows that I've watched. Well, another show, I didn't know if you do honorable mentions, because I would have honorable mentioned Supernatural probably. So this kind of counts then, since we can do it's a twofold story. Outlander.
Yes,
Watch Outlander?
yes. That was on my list.
So shout out to Hannah, our lead from Strange Happenings. She told me I should watch it, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's like my thing, because I wasn't quite understanding the show. And she's like, trust me, you should watch it. Obsessed. Like, so I watched 2 seasons like in a two-day time period. Like thinking.
How'd you watch the second season?
It's on demand.
It's on demand. Okay.
Yeah, it's on
again,
demand.
I don't have cable,
Yeah,
so I watched the first season and went,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
wow, I like this a lot.
Yeah, it's on demand. And so like, and I was messaging her, and she's like, how you're caught up? And I was like, that's all I've done for like 2 days. And so now we've entered drought land, because that's what they call it, I found, because now it's done. Like the season 3 is done. And I was just like, what? Like what happened? Like how is it done already? But that's what I added. But talking about people walking in the wrong time, Bitten. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show. It was a good show. I didn't get to see it when it was on air.
Yeah,
Another
it's a
side.
show.
Yeah, I love werewolves and vampires, and supernatural things in general. But what happened, I was watching it, and it's like really awkward scene, and like night comes like walking behind me, and I'm just watching the show by myself in the dark, and it's like, it's a werewolf show. Like that's what's happening. It's like, I don't care, but I totally get what it's like. Everyone always walks in the wrong
They do.
time. Where you're like, this is not what this show is just about.
Right,
You just so happen to walk in when they don't have clothes on. Like that doesn't happen in every episode.
Well,
just when you walked in.
It does happen in every episode. So
Their first season it does, but they cooled that off real fast. They cooled it off real fast. I think a lot of the actors were
like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, they're like, we're done being paraded around.
How in the world am I going into battle completely naked? How does that help?
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
You'll distract people. Great.
And,
things are getting cut off. Like, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great thing. Television, again, as we were saying earlier, this is a golden age for geeks and nerds. And all of this is available to you, whether you have cable or you can only catch network. It's on. The fact is, you can catch this on demand. You can catch this on Hulu, and you can catch this on Netflix.
Right.
You can get episodes at your local library. You can borrow from friends. They're out there. It's fun.
I can get Game of Thrones at the local library.
You check it out. It's like,
actually, yes, you can.
Excuse me.
Well,
he just like exits out. He's like, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
I need to go see this guy's
Season
like,
2.
Game of Thrones in here. We have them. Remind me, you can borrow. Well, they're nice. Remind me, you can borrow ours.
All right, thanks, Night.
You can borrow ours. No need to pay for them.
That leads us to the top 5 list that everyone has for the films of 2017.
Yes.
Or should I say the geek films?
Yeah, geek films.
Of 2017.
So
let's go ahead and start with Brittney.
All right. Everyone's gonna just like trash my list. I get to the point where I'm afraid to tell anybody my opinion.
Don't trash her list. It's her opinion.
I just get beat up over everything that I like for some reason.
And you should.
I don't think anybody should.
No.
Anyways, for more reasons than one, my number 1. We'll go. Or do you do 5 to 1?
That's what I do. But
Yeah,
you don't have to do
I did the opposite.
We'll do 5 to 1.
We can change it to 5 to 1. Yeah.
We'll do 5 to 1. So, my 5th would be Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of Thor. I really liked him in this movie. I love, was it Korg? I love The Rock.
Yes.
And who is the director? But yeah, I mean, everything he said, he's like, bye, Dave. Like, bye, no, Dave. Like, all of that stuff, every line he had, he's like, oh, he's dead.
I
Like,
easily stepped on him.
yeah. Great. See, and that's kind of, we can discuss that later. Anyways, so I have reasons why Thor is only 5. But you know what I mean? Like I loved the visuals. As far as Marvel bad guys go, I thought Hela was a really good bad guy.
She is.
I liked the dark, and I like dark things. I liked the darker take on it. I liked that you saw that they actually had a very dark past to get what they have, and so I really liked that stuff. I liked that we finally get to see him using lightning again.
Yeah.
I never understood why he's the god of thunder. He does lightning stuff. Anyways, but so Thor.
When thunder's lightning comes down, that's why.
Okay. Could be the god of lightning. It's just god of thunder sounds better, I guess. They go together. But yeah, so I liked the visuals. I liked the soundtrack to it. I liked how they used Hulk in it. I was kind of iffy on how they were going to do that. Right. I really think Hela was a strong bad guy.
Yes.
And I'm not a Kate Blanchett fan, and I really liked her in this movie.
Yes.
I thought she did a really, really good job, and I love it that the only reason she did it was because of her kids. I thought that was really cool. Like, so she was just trying to appease her kids who are comic book fans, which was neat. So that was my number 5.
Yep.
My number 4 geeky film is Guardians Volume 2.
Yep.
Again, Marvel doesn't go dark often, and I liked what Volume 2 did, because where Volume 1, it was a little bit brighter. The characters were a little bit more eccentric and funny and out there. And then with the second one, I liked it because the first one, it was like, hey, we're friends getting to know each other. And then the second one, it felt very much a family.
Right.
Like, so it was like family fights, family issues. You know, you have multiple dad issues going on. So I felt like the story in that movie, even though it was darker and some people kind of gave it flack, I thought Volume 2 was phenomenal because it didn't feel as much of, even though they were saving the whole, like, the universe, it didn't feel like that. It felt like it was more rooted in growing pains of a family.
Right.
So I really liked that one. So that's my number 4. My number 3 is Atomic Blonde.
Oh,
I love that movie. Yeah. It was great. Charlize was phenomenal. Oh my gosh, she does like all of her own stunts. And so to me, the movie is my number 3 because of the fact I bought the graphic novel, which the Comic Cave. I went in, I didn't go .com. I went in and I bought the novel, like the first novel, because I love the movie so much. I haven't got to read it yet because life is kind of hectic, but so I have it sitting there ready to go. But again, like the soundtrack, the visuals, the fact that they let the scenes breathe and they shot it. All the action scenes were shot like in wides and mediums, so you could see those hits and you could see all of it. And when we left, Knight was like, "I hurt." Like, he's like, "My body hurts," because it felt like you were feeling every impact.
Right.
You know, and so it was really interesting. So that's my number 3. It was great. Again, it didn't get critical acclaim, which I don't think anybody should go by. I think you should watch what you want to watch and make your own decision if you like it or not. I don't think you should listen to what other people say. Because me personally, I think Atomic Blonde is one of the better action movies I've seen in a long time. And people say they want a female Bond. That's what Atomic Blonde is. It is a female version of what James Bond would be.
Set in the 80s.
Set in the 80s in Germany.
Yeah,
Which is super cool. So you have the soundtrack's great. Watch it. You should go and buy it. I'm upset I don't own it.
Maybe for Christmas.
Yeah, we'll see. I didn't ask for it. We'll see. So if anybody's listening that wants to get me Atomic Blonde, feel free.
Charlize Theron would
Yeah.
make a very, very good new cast member for the X-Men films.
Yeah, she would. Or switch over to DC. Let her be, I don't know, Catwoman, dye her hair black, or Poison Ivy, dye her hair red.
I'm curious who you're thinking for X-Men for
Mystique.
Okay.
Not the version that they've had in the movies.
Right.
The comic book
The comic
version.
book version?
So I was thinking Emma Frost, but no, Mystique worked.
That character.
No, I
I
get what you
don't like that
but
character.
an episode with the Hellfire Club,
Mm-hmm.
you could do that with her being the bad guy. That would be phenomenal.
I think she would make a very good Mystique because she can fight.
Yeah, she's
and you could buy her as a cold-blooded killer.
Right.
Like an atomic bomb. That's what she is. She's just not blue. She's not blue and doesn't have red hair.
Yeah, that's what I kept saying during the entire movie. Like, we're watching Mystique the movie.
Right? Yeah. She's so great in it.
Yeah.
Gosh, that kitchen fight scene and the fight scene in the stairwell.
Yes.
You should see it, even if you don't like these type of movies. I highly recommend it just to see the action scenes because this is the action movie you deserve.
Right.
As a movie viewer, when you watch action movies, like these are the fight scenes you deserve. Like the fight scenes they do in Atomic Blonde are what you deserve because she's so good at her job.
Like John Wick.
She does so well and she works so hard and she's very capable, and because of that, they're able to shoot it with her instead of doing close cuts and fast edits to get around the fact that it's not really the actor. They don't have to really worry about that with her. So that's another reason why I highly recommend it. And it's realistic. They do this nice thing where they know she's a female and it doesn't matter who you are. Females aren't usually as strong as men as far as like fights concerned.
Right.
Like they were saying, if she got jacked in the face, she would probably go down. So they do this neat thing where they let her use her wit and she uses objects around her to help her win fights, which is really interesting. And I like as a female seeing that she's smart enough to use her surroundings and not just her fists. So I highly recommend it. My second is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Because it's Wonder Woman.
Right.
I mean, it's great.
Yes.
Gal is fabulous. Having Zach and Patty behind the scenes is amazing. It set a bunch of records and it destroyed a bunch of records, which was awesome because it's a female-driven movie. It's a female-driven superhero movie. It's a female-directed movie. So that's really, really cool. You have a lot of really strong females in it. And as a female director, it's really nice to see. I'm very disappointed that she got snubbed. Some people think she didn't. I think she got snubbed. I feel like she should have been nominated for directing just for the fact that that movie just destroyed so many records. And that movie made so much money. So I mean, I'm a little disappointed in that, but I love Wonder Woman. If you haven't seen it yet, why? I don't know why you haven't seen it. It's a great movie. It has a lot of heart. It's another darker movie that deals with some harsher toned things. And Gal, being Gal, like makes everything feel beautiful and like you just want to hug somebody when you're done watching it.
She is Wonder Woman.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
she
and
is.
that movie has lighter sides to it too. So it's not just dark like some of the other DC movies that have been just dark. They have moments where there's some humor and some other things added to kind of bring you up out of the darkness for a moment before they merge you back in, which I think was perfect. So
yeah, I love Wonder Woman. It's not my favorite DC movie they've put out, which a lot of people tell me they're surprised that it's not my favorite. It's not, but I do love it. My number one, this is the one I'm going to get hated on. My number one is Justice League. One, it's the first time we've ever seen the Justice League on screen. I know it has its problems. Am I saying it's the best superhero movie of all time? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I went into the movie. I loved it. I had fun. I had a good time. I loved seeing these characters together on the screen. Again, I love the possibilities that this movie is telling me I could have with more DC films.
Right, yes.
I thought Ezra Miller as the Flash. I was very concerned with how they did his stuff in in Batman vs Superman. I was a little concerned. He had the long hair. He had like a goatee thing going. I didn't know what they were doing. But like actually seeing him in this movie, like they did a great job. He was awesome. The effects, like how he ran, the effects and stuff were great. The characters all worked. I think it was amazing that they took a group movie with 3 characters that you have not seen and put them in this movie. And I feel like even though it probably should have been longer and there was some trouble with the studio and like stuff like that, I feel like they did an amazing job that a lot of people aren't giving them credit for, that they put 3 people in a movie, in a 2-hour movie, and you still knew enough about them and you cared enough about them that you're like, man, I want more of these 3 characters, even though you didn't have like 3 setup films for them to get in there. Like, I feel like they're not getting enough credit for that, and that's another reason why it's my number 1, is because I feel like they're not getting credit where credit's due for what they did with bringing these people together. And it's like, I want a director's cut. I don't know, I don't care who the director is that I get a cut from. I just want a director's cut, because, there's lots of
cut footage.
Yeah, there's a lot of cyborg stuff going, like there's a lot of cyborg stuff going with him playing for Gotham, and like that stuff was going to be fun, and that was going to kind of give him more of a backstory, and there's some Wonder Woman stuff cut and some Flash stuff cut and some Superman stuff cut, but it's just, it's just sad to think we probably could have had a 3-hour movie and you would have just loved these characters more. But it's my number 1 because I had so much fun, and the depth in the characters, and the fact that you have Batman, like, again, a lot of people are like, oh, so Batman's going to be like the leader of the Justice League. But that's not what DC's doing. Like, DC is like, no, like, we're going to have Batman pushing Wonder Woman to be like, you need to be a leader. You need to be a leader. You know what I mean? And like, that to me is like really cool too, because she's essentially right now the only girl in the group. And to have the guy that's bringing everybody together be like, no, you would be a better leader than me.
Right.
Like, you would be like, you're the heart that we need. It's just like little things like that that I was really impressed with. And like, I thought it was impressive that, who does Batman or Bruce, who does Bruce send to go after Cyborg? Cyborg's big issue is he struggles to keep his humanity and to stay connected to the human world. So who do you send? You send Wonder Woman, who has the heart of gold, and who can keep him connected.
Right.
And it's like, who goes after the Flash? The father figure, a guy that has his father in prison and who needs a family. So who do you send after him? The father figure that can bring him into a family. It's just those little bitty things like that. Again, I feel like it's not getting credited for these nice little quiet moments in the film. The moment between Martha and
Lois,
where Martha's telling her, Clark told me this about you, Clark told me that about you, he said you're going to get another Pulitzer, and the look on her face is like just shock and just distraught. And then you see her with Clark, and it's like she breaks down, and it's like, I wasn't that person anymore, I stopped. And it's those little bitty quiet moments in that film that let those characters breathe that are so beautiful. And it's very disheartening that it's not getting credit, because it's like, when I'm watching it, like, these are the things that I'm holding on to, are these little moments that I'm just like, these are beautiful pieces of film that we've been given. And then I come out of it and like, when I hear people kind of bash it actually just kind of makes me sad.
Yeah.
Everybody can have their own opinion. It just makes me sad because I'm just like, but this moment, like, they're just these beautiful moments between these characters that they're trying to do something amazing. And it's just, I don't know, it's heartbreaking that they've had so much trouble, because I feel like the Justice League has such beautiful moments in it for characters that we've never got to have that stuff with. So I don't know, so that's why it's my number 1. Long story, not so short, but that's why it's my number 1. It's just all those beautiful moments.
Wow. Nicely done. Good list.
how about you?
Well, I will give a couple of honorable mentions here along with it. So, because I'm following Keith's suits here. So, first, our honorable mention number 1 is Justice League. I enjoyed the film a lot. Most people know I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I grew up reading a lot of Justice League stuff because my father was a big Justice League, Legion of Superheroes guy. So, I've read a lot of that stuff, and I enjoyed the film a lot. And there were moments where I'm like, okay, maybe I would have done that different or whatever. But I left going, I had a great time. This. If they would have started with this film, I would have been much happier with the DC. I mean, Batman v Superman had some cool stuff, but overall, I didn't love it as much. But Justice League, I'm like, okay, you're finally giving me the film other than Wonder Woman, which we'll talk about in a little bit on my list. But I really enjoyed it. It felt like, okay, they're on the right track. It is not a perfect film. There's things that you can do differently, but I was very pleased with it. I thought, good. What I want to see is DC and Marvel competing to the point to where who can have that A+++ film. You know, that's what I want. Like every time, like, okay, we don't know if this one's going to be as good as this one, but they're both going to be excellent. That's where I want to see both go.
And that's where fans need to like again realize that you can like both films.
You sure can.
Like you can like both without destroying the other.
Most definitely.
You can do both.
Most definitely. My second honorable mention is Logan. Really like that film. It's not as much of a superhero film as you would think, but Wolverine and Professor Xavier, both kind of at the end of their lives, and X-23, such an interesting film. And when I watched it, I had, I bought it. I didn't watch it in the theater, but I bought it, and I bought it where you had both the black and white and the regular version. Such an interesting way to do it.
Did you watch the black
and white? Yes, I did.
Isn't it cool?
It is very cool.
I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. It's very.
But it's more Westerny feel.
It is. This will bug my daughter if she ever sees it. It's very noir. Because she's in French class and she's correcting everything we say. So now I have to say it the way I say it, just to bug her. So.
How are you supposed to say it? I say noir.
It's noir.
Oh, I can't say it like that.
It's French. I'm like, how does your R sound like an A? That doesn't make any sense.
I'll just keep calling it noir.
Yeah, noir. Exactly. Number 5 on my list, and I think it's number 5 on your list too, Thor Ragnarok. Such a fun film. Had a great time with it. It was a fun thrill ride the whole time. I just enjoyed myself. It didn't take itself too seriously, even though you have this destruction going on of this whole universe that we've set up here with the Asgardians basically being destroyed. That level of darkness, though, is equal with kind of the fun of the film. I love the Game Master in that. He was perfect as Game Master.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. I mean, he brought that character off the comic book. Goldblum was fantastic. He is. But that was awesome. And I saw the trailer for Jurassic World 2 with him in there, and I thought, oh yeah, okay.
I love Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt's great. Yes, I agree. That film's gonna be awesome, but that's for the future. Number 4 is Guardians 2, and you talked about that also. Just love that film. Had a great time, and it takes you through some very dark areas and also some very light areas. And I loved the whole imagination of that world and all the things you could do, and kind of that whole idea of Chris Pratt, this is your father, sort of. It's also Star Wars, because for a while people were calling it Marvel Star Wars was the first one, and then you get that kind of feel there with this one as I am your father, but I'm gonna hey, come over here, son, but I'm really trying to use you for what I can gain.
Right, and like it's so dark. I mean,
it is.
It's so dark, but it's so beautiful.
It is.
Because again, it's family, and it's like, you kind of get to see it. I don't want to spoil it in case you should have seen it already. You should have seen it a couple times already. But yeah, like just that whole moment at the end where you kind of realize it doesn't have to be your father to be your father.
Right.
Like, like having little moments like that, and like even with Nebula and Gamora, so it's like you have this horrible guy, and the reason why they fight to the death is because of this one guy and how he treated them. It's just, so it's really neat. It's very much like a family growing pains movie.
And I'll say this, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Right? Yeah.
That's enough right there.
Kill me. Yeah, I cried. I cried in that movie. I've cried in both of those movies. The only Marvel movies I've cried in have been the Guardians. And that should happen. Like, to me, I feel like if you are doing a story right, you should be able to bring out emotions like that in somebody, even if it's a comic book movie. And I feel like they do.
Tell the Marvel movie I cried in. Because I did cry in Guardians, even though maybe I teared up a little bit. I cried in Ant-Man.
Did you?
And the reason being is Ant-Man is that father-daughter relationship at 2 different levels, and with the father really screwing up in both of those levels. And that movie spoke to me. And it wasn't so much about the villain. The villain was kind of a secondary character that who cares? But that movie drug me in. I was like, oh, this is, I didn't sign up for heart-wrenching Hallmark film. Oh my gosh, I'm crying during Ant-Man. But that's what happens.
That's what happened when we were, and again, I wasn't expecting it, but that's what I like. I like I like being emotionally attached to something that I'm not expecting. Because again, I didn't read Guardians.
Right.
You know, in the first one, like when you see what happens to his mom, and then like when he's outside in space and he puts his like thing on Gamora's face and like he's like tearing up and he's seeing his mom. And like, and again, I think it's a testament to how amazing Chris Pratt actually is as an actor. Because you see him in, I mean, he was in Everwood. That's where I started liking him. But you know what I mean? Like, you see him go from like Everwood into like these goofy, you know, like Parks and Rec. He's great as Easy or Burt Macklin. Like, he's a great character. And like, you see him, and then you see him in this, and like the fact that he's making me cry in a movie theater to a superhero movie, and he's done it twice to me. Right. Like, it's a testament to how amazing I think he is.
Agreed.
And I feel like again he doesn't get enough credit for what he's actually doing.
Right.
Like as this character, the fact that he's playing this goofy Star-Lord character, and it's like joke, and there's a tree and there's a raccoon, and then like he does something that just starts tearing up, and you're like, oh my god.
Right.
Like, I feel so horrible right now for you. Like, again, impressive.
Well, and I think that's kind of a whole testament to comic movies don't have to just be comic movies.
Right.
That you can have another genre in there, which we've already talked about. Logan, which is definitely that way. And so I think that's really cool that we've come to that place where we realize you can tell this kind of story, but in the comic book world and be able to be
right, and
make it very
I mean,
successful.
Wonder Woman is a war movie.
It is a war movie.
I mean, that's a war movie.
Well, and that talking about Wonder Woman, that's next to my list. So at number 3, Wonder Woman. Love Wonder Woman. Boy, and honestly, 1, 2, and 3 could be interchangeable on this list. It really, it's just fractions of percents of how I'm feeling at that moment. But Wonder Woman, I went and saw that and I took my daughter with me, and I went and took my wife. And normally does not like comic book movies, but the two that she's seen that she really likes is Wonder Woman, of course, and it really spoke to her being a female, everything else. That was wonderful. That's the whole reason I wanted her to go. The other one that really spoke and that she really enjoyed, and I think it was because realizing Chris Evans is good looking, was Civil War. She enjoyed Civil War a lot, and a lot of it had to do with Chris Evans. She's definitely Team Cap.
I love Chris Evans. Love it.
And I did ask my wife, I'm like, how is Blake Shelton considered to be a sexy man alive when all the Chris's you're around?
I mean, come on. And Jason, I mean.
Oh, yeah, like, right, exactly.
You have Aquaman.
Now,
you have Aquaman just standing out in an ocean.
My wife looks at that. I think the tattoo thing.
My mom said he looked like an animal. I was like, he looks like a feral animal. And I was like, that is the appeal. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what he looks like. It is fine.
Show her that video of what his life beliefs are and how he raises his kids.
Oh, I cried in that too. It sounds like I cry a lot, so I don't. It's just when they're doing these things right. But I did cry in that because it's like a beautiful. Like, you guys should watch that. It is really cool. Like, it talks about his life and his children and like what he like had to overcome. It's beautiful seeing like awesome. A guy like that.
Well, my
there.
wife's just not into him, but I think it's all the him too. So I think that part. And she's not really the bad boys. That's why she married me. As much as I always wanted to be a bad boy, I was always the good boy. So.
And he's so great in Justice League. He's so awesome.
So number 2 on my list is Last Jedi. Now, neither one of you've seen it yet.
Yeah.
And it just came out, and I'm a fan. I'll tell you that. I really enjoyed it. I haven't fully processed. When I first saw Phantom Menace, I saw it at the midnight show because it was the only time you could see it early. And then I turned around and saw it the next morning at 11 o'clock because I had different friends going. And I really enjoyed Phantom Menace. But as a couple days passed, I realized it wasn't as good as I hoped. It was the whole idea that it was Star Wars again.
Yeah.
You had a popcorn hangover.
I did. I had a popcorn hangover. And so it's, I saw Last Jedi last time about this time, and I was trying to make sure I wasn't putting it on my list because of that. But I really enjoyed it. It is probably the most twisty plot Star Wars movie of all time. It really takes you one way and twists you back around and back and forth. and you don't really know what's going to happen, which is rare for me in a movie because I usually know within 5 minutes of what's going to happen in the film, who's the bad guy, who's going to do what, who's going to die. I know all that just from the first 5 minutes. And it bugs the snot out of my wife. And I'm like, I'm over smiling, and she's like, what? You know who killed this person? Yes, of course I do.
Of course I do.
Of course I do.
I joke with Maya all the time. I was like, I should write for this show.
Right, exactly. So, but Last Jedi keeps you thinking. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. There's a lot of awesome special effects. And the story is good. The story is very good. I've seen some people hating on it, and I understand. I look at it, and some of them don't like the way that some of the characters were taken. And I get that. But I think it actually breathes and makes sense when you look at it, that these characters and their kind of journey. So
I want to like throw theories at you, but I'm afraid if I'm right,
yeah, I'm not going to tell you.
Give it away.
I'm not going to tell you. So number 1 on my list, and again, probably the last 2 could have been number 1, is Spider-Man: Homecoming. And again, I'm the world's biggest Peter Parker fan, and I finally got my Peter Parker. Is the movie perfect? Are there things in it that the whole MJ thing I know really bugs you?
Yeah, it does.
And I would have thrown
I love that
fit.
actress. I love that actress. She did great.
Zendaya.
I would have thrown a
great.
fit if they would have called her Mary Jane. I would have thrown an absolute fit because that would have ruined the whole bubble for me. But because
but
they
him
didn't.
calling her MJ didn't ruin it. It
Because
kind
it
of
could
ruined
be-
it for me because why would you have
Well, but
another
she said,
MJ?
but she called her name something else, and then said, I forget what it was, Margaret or something. I don't know what it was, but call me MJ. I was okay with that. I'm like, okay, fine. You're just playing with us here now.
See, and I feel,
Can I roll
and I-
mouse?
and I think that's why I didn't like that. Is because I feel like they were just toying with the audience,
Right.
not in the hey, we're toying with you because we're gonna give you this awesome surprise for the next Spider-Man movie. But it was just we're just toying with you.
Well,
Like I
and
feel like there's not gonna be a payoff for that.
Well,
Like,
and
I
I'm
feel like it's
hoping
just
we get
toy.
and we talked a little bit about how I would love to see Mary Jane in
And it would
this,
be pretty cool.
because it would be the comic book version of it, where you toy with Peter the entire movie with his aunt trying to get him to meet this niece of the lady that lives next door. Toy with him the whole time in the movie, and he thinks she's going to be ugly because his aunt keeps saying she's nice, and then at the end have her show up and Tiger, you just hit the jackpot, and that would just pay off so much. Sophie Turner, right there. There's where Sophie Turner is good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that'd be
she would
perfect.
be a good MJ.
She would be the
See,
good
but now
MJ.
we can't call her MJ because this other chick
No,
is
you can
MJ.
still call her MJ.
See, I feel like that would be weird. I don't like it. That was
People have the same name.
Right.
It's okay to have two
The
Brittnys
same
in the
nicknames.
same group.
yeah, but if you have two like if you have two Brittnys in the same group, you don't call them the same nickname. You have different nicknames, so they
Yeah.
wouldn't call her MJ
Well, maybe this MJ leaves. Who knows? I don't know.
or gets killed.
She could die, and that could be a tragedy for because Peter's life is all around tragedy and Britt's dying.
I mean, it
Britt's
is.
dying all the time.
I mean, that's a bulk of what Peter's life is.
No,
There's
yeah.
a lot of dead.
A lot of
Dead
it's
friends and
tragedy,
family.
yet still continues on and continues to tell the jokes to kind of balance out the
Right,
darkness.
and I do like Homecoming. I did like Homecoming. We were talking earlier before we started filming. The fight scene at the end, like Keaton, like
It was phenomenal.
Keaton was amazing. I
Yeah.
love Michael Keaton. I love him as Beetlejuice. I love him as Batman. I mean, he did such a good job. I loved seeing him. I like seeing him as a bad guy. That thing when he turns around.
With a
like-
gun.
Yeah, like he
Oh.
just turns around. You're just like, oh, you're in trouble. Like you're in so much trouble. Like he knows. Like you might as well you should move. Like you should move yourself. Like
Right,
get out of there.
right.
But like I was telling you guys earlier, my biggest thing is just that fight scene.
Right.
Like,
The
the
dark.
fact that I couldn't really tell what was going on and because I'm sure they had to do a bunch of CG and you know what I mean? It's like, so I had some issues with that, but I liked how they used Tony in it.
Right.
I
Yes.
feel like that's how they should continue if he doesn't die in Infinity War. I feel like that's how they should continue. Just let him kind of be like the mentor to these new people
Right,
coming
right.
in. Because all of that stuff, I think it's been the best thing they've done with Tony since the first Iron Man movie, in my opinion. Because I hated what they did with him in Civil War. I don't think they used him correctly. I don't think they allowed him to portray what he needed to portray in the right way. But like what they did with him in Homecoming, like I thought was really good. Like it's my favorite Tony Stark moments were in that movie.
Sure.
It was beautiful, like that awkward, I don't know, and like the best line to me in that whole entire movie is when Peter tells him, I want to be like you, and he's like, no, I need you to be better.
Right.
Like, why can't you understand that? I need you to be better than me. And it's like, that right there is like, man, that's a good line. That's a good Tony moment to see that he's not just that ass,
Right.
like alcoholic, narcissistic, like he's not just that. You can let him breathe and be something else and still be that and still be important to the group, even if he's not Iron Man.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
No,
I kind of think they should do that with him. But
I think his role for Civil War was actually kind of on target with the actual Civil War comics, kind of how he's like, no, I'm right on this and you're wrong, and I'm just going to be that ass. I'm just going to take that.
Fine, but the whole, I don't know. I have really huge issues with that movie. Like I have huge issues.
See, I really like that movie, so I was okay with it.
It is literally my least favorite Marvel movie out of all of them. Like, I mean, we're talking, I like Iron Man 2 better. I like Iron Man 3 better.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I like Ant-Man better. Like, I like all of those movies better than Civil War. Like, Civil War feels like it was 3 to 4 different ideas, and they just crammed them together, and nothing breathes. I don't think anything breathes in that movie. Like, and I've got issues. We can talk about it another time. We can talk about it another time.
Because I disagree with you on a lot of it. But you know what? It's cool that we disagree on that.
Yeah, we can disagree. That's why Keith sits in between us. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, but I mean, you can disagree on it. Like, you can tell your opinions. Like, he's not telling me his opinions to try and change my mind. Right. And I'm not telling him my opinions to try and change his mind. It's just, these are the reasons why I don't enjoy this movie.
Right.
But just because I don't enjoy Civil War doesn't mean I don't enjoy all the other Marvel movies. Because, like, the Guardians movies, to me, I think, are some of the best comic book movies that have come out in the last, like, 10 years. And, again, I feel like they kind of get pushed under the rug.
They do sometimes. I agree. So that was my list, Keith.
Okay.
And we went on that for a while.
That's cool. That's cool. Quick honorable mention on my films list. The Great Wall.
Oh, yes.
Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Oh, was that good?
I thought it was good.
Right.
My wife and I both enjoyed it.
All right.
The Lego Batman movie.
Yes.
We just watched that.
Yes.
And It. Okay.
It counts. That counts as a geeky movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And your list real quick.
Yeah. Come back to me.
Now,
Gosh, that was so good. That movie terrified me.
as far as my actual list of the top 5 geek nerd films of 2017, number 5 is Justice League. Enjoyed it, loved it, thought it was fantastic. Was it perfect? No.
Right.
But both the Zack Snyder version and the Joss Whedon version, the longer versions of the films, both sound a lot better than the film that was ultimately.
And still it's number 5, even the way it was released.
Right.
So yeah.
It's still an enjoyable movie.
Oh my God.
And the only reason why I didn't take number 4, I mean, it's a hair's breadth between these two. What I picked as number 4 was Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I thought Thor Ragnarok was very good, and the thing that really got me was the story.
Yeah.
Not so much the script. And I didn't think everything in the film was as funny as a lot of other people thought. There were certain scenes that kind of left me a little. The Doctor Strange thing ran way too long for me, and it was just, there are other scenes that just, I didn't think they were funny. It didn't hit me as funny, and again, but I thought it was a good movie.
Right.
And again, I loved the story. The story was great. Number 3 is Blade Runner 2049.
I have not get to see
I haven't
it.
either.
And I've heard that it is like so pretty
Yeah.
and just visually stunning that everyone that has come out of the theater is like, I don't know why people are not watching this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a shame, and that just should say with Valerian. I've heard the same things, and again, it's that word of mouth where people hear like certain people saying negative things, and it just nowadays people just have that mentality of, oh, they said it was bad, I can't go.
Yeah.
It's just sad. Half the time they're not.
If you don't get enough positive thumbs ups, like
Right.
on the episode of Oracle, you don't get enough positive thumbs
Mhm.
up and your thumbs down or more, then
Yep.
people aren't going to give you anything. So,
Yeah, and it's
No.
so sad.
Number 2, Logan.
yes.
I thought Logan was just a very, very well done film, and that final scene
Uh-huh.
between his daughter and him, as a dad, if
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
not
yeah.
at least tearing up just
Yeah,
a little
I did.
bit.
I
It
did.
doesn't-
I love when you yell at her.
Yeah,
Like-
that's also very good.
Like one of my favorite scenes, just seeing
But-
a grown man scream at her.
But I gotta say, you know,
Right.
that young actress is phenomenal.
Yes, she is.
And I think that final scene, mainly because of her reaction, you know, but anyway, before I
I'm not
start
a
tearing up
dad.
again.
I'm not a dad, it didn't get to me. I'm just
Um,
like, whatever, kid.
Snap out of it.
Yeah, snap out of it.
And my number
Don't be
one,
ridiculous.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, yeah.
Patty Jenkins did a
Yeah,
phenomenal job with that entire cast.
Yeah.
You know,
It's so
I think really the way this year has gone and all the movies that I've enjoyed, if you have an actor by the name of Chris in your movie,
You're fine.
Yeah.
you're fine.
You're golden.
You know?
And they're hotter than Blake Shelton.
Chris Pine did a phenomenal job
Yes, he
in
did.
this
Yes, he
film.
did.
In fact,
So good.
yeah.
Gosh.
his chemistry with Gal Gadot was freaking amazing. It's still the best chemistry of any couple that I have seen in any geek film this year. In fact, I'll go any film this year so far, because even though the #1 movie is Beauty and the Beast, I believe that I bought the relationship of Steve and Diana more than I did between the Beast and Belle. You know, I just thought it was a much better. The movie was just on
They
that
did
level.
so good. And it's
Yeah.
just like, and when I left, because Knight likes Wonder Woman, but he just doesn't think it's as good as what everybody thinks
Yeah.
or whatever. I love Wonder Woman. It's not my favorite DC film. We've discussed that, but I really love it. And that's what I told my friend. Like, I said after we left, I told my friend later, I like called her or something, and I was like, you should watch Wonder Woman. It's so good. I loved it. And I was just like, I said, if you don't love Gal Gadot already, I said, when you leave the theater, you're going to love her. Like, she makes you fall in love with her. Like, because she does such a good job.
Oh,
Like,
it's the little things.
yeah, it's
It
just,
is. Yeah.
it's
The
just
the scene with the ice cream, or
Yeah,
with the
right.
baby.
The ice cream is right from the comics.
Oh.
So.
Oh,
it's
geez.
just, yeah, she's great in it. She's great. I love her. And Ares, Eternal Armory, shout out. They're making an Ares like helmet right
That's
now.
awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't wait to wear that.
So some middle-aged white guy can wear that.
I can't wait. I'm wearing it.
Well, now, one final thing. This year, we're going to have to say goodbye to Peter Capaldi's version of the Doctor.
Right.
And the Christmas special, entitled Twice Upon a Time, is going to be his farewell as that character.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been doing it since, 2014. Wow. I personally love Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. I love this incarnation of him. So I'm really, really, really sad that he's leaving. I wish him luck, and hopefully they'll put him in the sequel to World War Z, since he was in the first movie. But I just want to see where his career and all of this is going to take him after this. But I personally really enjoyed his version of the Doctor. It's just,
Well, I have to say the first season I thought was a little. It didn't seem to have the chemistry. It didn't seem
Yeah.
to fit as well.
Yeah.
Second season was much better. I've not seen the current season, again, because it's on cable.
Yeah.
But I look forward to watching that. I'm going to have to find a way to watch that since it's no longer going to be on Netflix. But I enjoyed the second season with him a lot, to where I went, oh, okay, this is what he can do. That makes sense. Now, he's not David Tennant in my mind.
Yeah.
And he's not supposed to be. He's a whole different character version of the Doctor, as they all become. But Tennant's always going to be that place being my doctor, just because that was the one that really got me into Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed Capaldi. But I go back and I've watched a lot of the older doctors, and they all bring something different, which is kind of fun. It's interesting how you go from the very young Matt Smith, and even though thinks like an old man, to Capaldi, who is the older guy who thinks more like the young man. So it's kind of interesting that whole the one where they thought he was going to die, and he was in the tank at I forget what that episode was, but he's got the tank and the rock music, and like, I bought a tank for my goldfish. I just cracked me up. I'm like, that's hysterical. That's something that a young man would do just because he can.
Yeah.
That was awesome. So.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, Peter, and all the fans of Doctor Who. As we look ahead to 2018 now, lots of things coming. And I think the big thing for any geek fan is that 2018 will be the 10th anniversary year of Marvel Studios.
Right.
And again, after the first story that we started with, the whole Disney Fox deal, this entire thing just got really big. I mean, seriously, 2018 might as well just be called the year of Marvel. You know, all the movies that they have, I mean, technically now all of these Marvel movies are part of one company now.
Right.
They may not fit into the same story, but the mouse is making bank. You know,
he's just running the show.
yeah.
Nobody realizes it. It's like Wizard of Oz. You pull back that curtain, it's gonna be a mouse.
And look at it this way. Now, all of the different Marvel TV shows. I mean, I think prior to that deal, I think Warner Brothers had the most, and now it's not even close. I mean, Marvel has more shows on TV overall than even Warner Brothers for their DC characters.
Right.
That is just a lot of television.
There is.
And it's just, oh man.
The cool thing is when it's good.
Yes.
That's the great thing. Hopefully, sometimes when you get the oversaturation, people start putting out crap, and we can discuss Inhumans maybe being part of that. I enjoy the Inhumans, but I know a lot of people just disdain the whole thing.
I just didn't watch it.
No, and I understand.
I had a hard time with that.
There were points to where I was like, oh, we did this trope. But overall, I'm like, okay, but is it, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of had that with their first season, too.
See, I'm not an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
fan.
I liked it.
Second season
and now,
won me over.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just kind of, but it's not just the Marvel stuff.
No.
Like, I mean, Arrow, and again, I don't want to talk bad, but it's like, I'm just kind of done with Arrow.
No, yeah.
I'm just kind of done with it. I don't like the decisions they're making with the characters. They had some options to bring some people back and just do some stuff right, and they didn't. And it's like, this relationship was a bad idea. We're sorry we did it. They've redone it again. And it's like, I don't know. And it's like, I'm getting to where I'm kind of like that with Supergirl and Flash now, and it's making me sad because I loved these shows. And it's just like, what they're doing, I'm just like, I'm so disappointed in the character decisions you're making and the story decisions that you're making now. Like, and I don't know what the deal is. I feel like they're spread
too much
thin.
Control by one particular production company.
Yeah.
Berlanti,
spread too thin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like into
right.
Legends, like we're done, like we've stopped watching
Oh,
Legends.
really?
Yeah.
See, and the only ones
that's
we're
probably
watching.
my favorite DC show on, other than Gotham.
And
Is
what
Legends. I enjoyed them.
and like when Supergirl was at CBS,
yes.
it was so much better on CBS. Like, it was so much better. It's just like and like we've discussed it before, like you were saying that like you're at a convention and like a lot of people were saying that they wanted the sisters to be together, and they were like, well, that's weird because we're sisters.
Right.
And it's like, so they're taking a character that was like already established and they're changing her whole entire sexual identity. They're changing her whole entire character, and she's like not even the same person anymore because they wanted a vehicle to push. You know what I mean? So it's like they're doing these small things that are affecting the show in a giant way, because instead of like a show, me and Knight were talking about, a show that I think does really well with it is Walking Dead. Like, they have 3 characters on Walking Dead. I think there's like 3 or 4 characters on Walking Dead that are gay characters, and they're phenomenal characters. They're really well done characters because that's not the thing that defines them as a character.
Right.
Where a lot of these CW shows, they're just defining characters by that trait, and that's all they are. And it's like, and so it's disappointing because it's like The Walking Dead's doing it, and it's like they're because that's not what defines a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like your sexual orientation or the color of your skin doesn't define you as who you are as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your actions do, like what you do as a character. And it's like, so it's disappointing. And it's turning us off from the shows.
Right.
Because like you're not focusing on what you should be focusing on. Like you're just using this as a vehicle. And like you see The Walking Dead, it's like that's how you should do it. They're doing it the right way.
Right.
Because these are very well developed characters and they're doing stuff in the group, and it's like they have purpose in the group, and it's like it makes sense. And I don't know, it's just.
Well, I think part of the problem is the CW characters. You have to have some sort of relationship conflict. So your relationships are pretty much everything with the CW characters, and I think that's why you're getting that is this is defining them because any relationship they have is what's defining them.
Right, and it's just sad,
feature.
like that's what they're doing right now.
No, I agree. And I'm still enjoying Flash, and I'm still enjoying Legends of Tomorrow. I know I'm in the minority on that, but I just take it for a grain of salt and run with it. I'm just like, all right, do something crazy for me. Have dinosaurs show up here. Awesome, I love it. Okay, I'm just going with it, and because I'm not taking it seriously. Even though I look at it and I'm like, when did the Atom get the Iron Man suit? I don't know. All right, just go with it. But yeah, I'm with you. I understand. And Arrow I dropped probably midway through the second half last year. I was like, okay, this is too many times that he's just dropped this whole team. Decided that he had like, what? I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what? I think we can wrap this up by at least with two last things. One being the Entertainment Weekly issue that they put out with a look inside X-Men Dark Phoenix, and of course giving us a little sneak peek into James Wan's Aquaman.
Right.
Both of which are two films that, given what has happened this year, things are kind of different now for both those projects. And again, this could very well be the final time that we see this X-Men cast playing these characters.
Which is sad. I think that they're doing a good job.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. But I
great,
mean, I think it's safe to say that since Kevin Feige's been anxious to get his hands on the X-Men, he has plans for these characters.
Right. Yes.
And
Agreed.
I don't think what they've been doing in these films fits with what his plan actually is. And as far as James Wan and Aquaman go, God, I hope I hope this film is as good as it seems. I mean, oh man. But finally, I just want to put it out there that while this year has not gone the way that certain companies would like you to look at the way that things should have gone for them, and I know I'm avoiding by saying it's really Warner Brothers. I have to at least shout out the article from Forbes magazine that does a fantastic job of laying out exactly what we have here. It's from Mark Hughes, the reporter is Mark Hughes, and it was published on December 7th of this year. It's from the Forbes Arts and Entertainment section. It's called The True History of Zack Snyder's Impact on the DCEU Success. If you are someone who is passionate about one way or the other about the DC films, you should really check it out and do yourself a favor and learn some new stuff. I don't really think after reading this article that it is safe to say that you can lay all the blame for anything that's gone wrong at Zack Snyder's feet. In fact, it's pretty safe to say that Warner Brothers themselves really are the bad guys in this entire situation, dating all the way back to including Man of Steel. But we'll leave that for history to say, and just really just wrap it up by just saying this has been a mixed bag year, 2017. Some good things, a lot of good things, really, for me personally, came out of this year. But overall, I wish certain things had gone differently, and they haven't. But this has still been a good year. And we fans, we geeks, can really celebrate the fact that we're still getting a lot of really cool stuff.
Right.
In the next year.
In the 90s, even into the early 2000s, wouldn't we have killed for just one really good geek movie?
Man.
One, just give me something.
Oh.
Give me Daredevil. Give me something really good geeky. So we were the victims of how much awesome stuff there is. And there's some crap out there too, as we were talking about. And sometimes the good stuff becomes crap just because it starts drawing too thin. But my gosh, we have a lot. We are so blessed as geeks. And the other cool thing is, because I was talking to, I was at a Christmas party earlier, and a young gentleman was showing me pictures of the lightsabers on his wall and all this stuff. And his girlfriend, who is my cousin's daughter, so my second cousin, and they're living together and all this other stuff, and how she really wasn't into a lot of the stuff that she got in there. And I'm like, he's like, who would have ever guessed I could have a pretty girlfriend like this, and I would be accepted out there being a geek, and it's so great. And I'm like, yeah, geek is chic now. So he's like, I'm gonna ride it as long as I can. I'm like, you bet, because this is the golden time for us geek. So this is awesome.
Yeah, this could be over at any time.
It could be. Hopefully,
those of us that grew up and remember when
yes.
We're just like, we're still waiting for the other two to drop.
Or for someone to go to wedgie, or stick her head in the toilet, or been there, done that. So, well, before we completely wrap up the show, I would like to go back to our tradition. And for those that don't know, this is a monthly show, and we will be back in 2018. We started 2017. One of the great things from 2017 is the show started. Look for bigger and better things. We are going to a convention in February, where we will be broadcasting live from Branson, so that will be awesome. But hopefully we can also broadcast from Kansas City, and that's our hope. So we may do back-to-back weeks with that. So we're hoping for that. But there's some really cool things coming on for Titans of the Fantastic. But as a part of the Titans of the Fantastic tradition, is to play a couple games, just like what Jimmy Fallon would play, but a little bit different, little geek twist on here. So first thing I want to do is our fun of Stump Keith. Give Keith some facts to see if he knows, because he's always sharing all the cool stuff with us, all his knowledge. So I've got 3 for you, Keith. Do you have anything, Brittney?
No.
No, it's okay. That's okay. I'm kind of jumping on this. So, all right. What comic book company originally published Shazam or Captain Marvel, and what city does he protect?
That would have been Wiz.
Wiz Comics is correct.
And his home city. See, if my brother Kevin were here.
Shout out to Kevin. He's screaming at you right now.
I know, because I know he knows the answer. Mr. Tony. Oh man.
Yes.
I have no idea what city is it.
Fawcett City.
Yeah.
And I knew you would know it once I said it. So, all right. Here is talking about Jack Kirby, what we did a little bit earlier. Who was the first DC character that Jack Kirby and Joe Simon were signed to after leaving Marvel? And what comic book was it in? So what character and what
Jimmy Olsen.
What?
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen is not correct.
What?
Nope, was not Jimmy Olsen.
I could have sworn it was Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
And that, I think they did do that. That wasn't the first one they were signed to. And the comic book name is different than the character. That helps. So it's not Superman and Superman. It's,
Don't feel that. I have no idea.
well, the only reason I didn't know this until I found this information. I went, okay, this is the Stump Keith question.
I have no idea.
Sandman.
Yes.
In Adventure
Sandy.
Comics.
Yes, Sandman and Sandy.
Sandman and Sandy were the first Kirby and Simon characters that were done.
And thinking about it in my head, they look like
Yeah. Don't they?
Yeah.
The more you know.
All right, and the last one. Talk about Eisner, because we mentioned him also, and
Yes.
we're going to.
Yes.
What was the first publication that Will Eisner published in, and what high school friend suggested Eisner be published there? And who was the high school friend? Who was? Yeah.
Julie Swartz.
Nope.
These are hard.
These are hard.
These are like
These-
super hard. Like, do you guys have a dictionary out? I'm like, looking at it. I feel like everyone's
He's
Googling.
probably Googling it right now.
Yeah.
Looking at a dictionary.
Is his friend Stan Lee?
His friend is not Stan Lee, but a name you know.
It was me.
It was Brittney. No.
It was me.
The friend was Bob Kane,
Oh, really?
and the magazine was Wow, What a Magazine, which did a lot of cartoon type of strips, and actually got him in doing his own. So that was where he first was published and suggested by Bob Kane, his high school buddy.
I said correct.
And now we have Stump Keith a couple times tonight. So there we go.
We need a board.
We need a board,
So we can
visual.
tally.
We want to start tallying in
So we can-
2018.
Yeah, 2018, we're gonna
but
start a tally. That's when he's gonna
guaranteed-
start just like destroying us.
Well, I was gonna say, guaranteed Keith will win this. So
Yeah.
we've got a couple
We
tough
don't
questions here.
stand a chance.
All right. So for my second game, since we are upon Christmas time, Christmas is next week. I wanted to do, because we like to play the quote game here.
Yes.
With the quote game, the 12 quotes of Christmas.
Okay.
So Christmas quotes for you. So first one to raise their hand gets the answer, and give me the movie, and you get a bonus point if you can give me the character. It says it.
You'll win.
All right.
Have it.
Number one, we elves try to stick to the 4 main food groups.
Elf.
And who is the character?
The Will Ferrell or
It
Buddy?
is Buddy. Yes, 2 points for Brittney. Woo! All right. Look, Daddy. Teacher says every time the bell rings, angel gets.
Oh man, I just lost the name of that movie in my head. Go ahead, Nick.
Is it A Beautiful Life?
No,
Is that what it is?
A Wonderful Life.
A Wonderful
Wonderful Life is
Oh,
correct.
Darn. I have no idea who said it.
Yeah.
It's the daughter, Zuzu Bailey.
Zuzu.
That one's a little harder with the person
Zuzu.
saying the quote. So
Give her the points.
I totally got it wrong. Wonderful Life. Like
So, all right, so 2-0. So, number 3. Rats. Nobody sent me a Christmas card today. I almost wish there were a holiday season. I know nobody likes me. Why?
Charlie Brown.
Right? Charlie Brown what?
Charlie Brown Christmas.
A Charlie Brown Christmas for Charlie Brown. Great. 2 points.
that.
Tied up.
I was like, what is happening?
All right. Number 4. The fog is thick as peanut butter.
No idea.
Oh, come on.
I don't watch a lot of Christmas
Oh.
movies. Crazy enough, I don't watch a lot of Christmas movies. I told you earlier,
This
my
one-
favorite Christmas movie is Batman Returns. So I mean, I don't watch a lot of them.
I thought this one would be an easy one for you guys. Because this one affected my childhood a lot. This was a yearly tradition.
Is it a Christmas story?
Nope.
Yearly tradition.
Yearly true. It is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer
Oh, yeah.
and Yukon Cornelius. The fog is thick as peanut
See,
butter.
I've like never, as much of film as I watch and being in the industry, like those early claymation ones,
Oh.
I've never seen any.
Oh my
of them.
gosh.
I didn't like them.
Those things rocked
I'm
my
telling you,
world. love those.
I was watching Batman Returns
Oh,
and
yeah.
Christmas Vacation and
Yes.
Die Hard. Those were the movies I was watching at Christmas.
We didn't even have a VCR until I was, well, in fact, we rented VCRs when I was like 10 to like 15. So I think we got our first one at 16. So there was no watching movies over and over again when I was a kid. Because we had to wait for it to be on television on the 3 stations.
Yes. Santa Claus versus the Martians was mine.
Oh man, that is awesome. I don't have a quote from that, but that's a check that out. That was on Netflix. I don't know if it still
That
is.
quote's not on here, but
That quote's not on here, but
There's a movie to remake. I would love to direct
That would,
Santa Claus versus the Martians.
you would be a great actor on that.
Oh no!
No.
I would not be. No, no.
You were
And
awesome.
I'm not putting on the outfit suit either. So
We,
Not happening.
yeah.
we do need to talk about your acting here in a little while. Because there's a series that you were acting in that has won some awards. So,
And two.
yeah,
It's
I was
in
lucky.
series.
I was lucky. You know.
Dose series.
we'll talk about that. Yeah, that's true. There's those series. That's right.
We'll have to do a show about it. We'll have to talk
And
about it
most
next-
definitely need to
next show.
because, all right, number 5. Aunt Clara had for years labored under the illusion that I was not only perpetually 4 years old, but also a girl.
Christmas Story.
Yes, and who says it?
I don't know what his name is. Sorry, everybody in the
That's all
world.
right. That's all right.
I
You
don't
got a Christmas
remember-
story.
I don't
You got a
remember what
point.
his name is.
Ralphie.
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 I'm telling you, my grandpa made us watch that, and like he kept it on TBS and he played it the 24
That's-
hours, so I block it out.
That's sad because
I block it
that's
out.
such a great movie. It
I
is.
block it out. My dad loves it.
It's not something that I would watch 24 hours, but I'm going to watch it every Christmas because it is just a great movie.
I
So,
block it out.
all right, number 6. This is my house. I have to defend it.
Home Alone.
I'm on. Who says it?
Kevin.
Kevin. 2 more points. So you're at 5. 5-2. Exactly. Number
Kevin.
6. Number 7. Hey, if any of you are looking for any last-minute gift ideas for me, I have one. I'd like Frank Shirley, my boss, right here tonight. I want him brought to me in his happy holiday slumber over there on Melody Lane with all the other rich people, and I want him brought right here with a big ribbon on his head.
No idea.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's all
We're
right.
just like disappointed. We're disappointing Larry.
That's all right. That's right.
To like
This
the 10th degree. We're just disappointing them like crazy.
Reread that one more.
Sure. Hey, if any of you are looking for any last-minute gift ideas for me, I have one. I'd like Frank Shirley, my boss, right here tonight. I want him brought from his happy holiday slumber over there on Melody Lane with all the other rich people.
Is it Scrooge?
No, it's
Oh,
not.
okay.
Holiday rich people, and I want him brought right here with a big ribbon on his head.
That is also a movie
Scrooge?
that should be everyone's Christmas and everyone's Christmas list.
Right.
It's awesome. I agree.
Love it.
Yeah, from the director of Lethal Weapon.
So good.
Scrooge.
I don't know.
All right. That was a Christmas Vacation. Clark's rant about getting his boss after he does not get the Christmas bonus.
The Christmas bonus.
That's probably my number 1 Christmas movie, even though I really right behind it's Christmas Story for me just because I just have to watch it every year. It just required
good
watching
movie.
for me. So
Chevy Chase
Okay.
is great in that movie.
all right. Here may be a little easier one. Because Santa is why can't you stop turning fast?
Is it the Santa Claus?
It is.
I just have no idea what that kid's name is.
Well, but it's not the kid that says that.
Is it the elf? I don't know.
No, it's actually Santa. It's
Oh, okay.
Scott Callan. So
Not for sure.
10
But
points.
okay, yeah.
8 points for you.
But
8 points.
I knew the movie.
You
Didn't know the
did.
character.
You did. I
Yeah,
love that
that-
scene
that-
too. Where he's talking to the little girl.
Right.
Santa, you're not fat.
Yeah, and he's like,
Because
Yeah.
Santa's why do you set
You
your
won't
fat?
believe how many times I've seen that film.
Kids will do that too.
No, I had to block it out.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
funny, I blocked out the Christmas Story.
See, that's
That was my job. I was at a job where we had to play that.
Oh my gosh.
It had to play every day
That'd be miserable.
for like 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's probably. I feel that way with Christmas music because I work places that play Christmas music from pretty
Yeah.
much September. As soon as the school stuff is out, then you start playing.
And tomorrow I'm getting a CAT scan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, number 9. You say you hate Washington's birthday or Thanksgiving and nobody cares, but you say you hate Christmas and people treat you like a leper. And this is a non-traditional Christmas movie.
Should I know what?
I don't know if you would know it or not.
You're like,
I think
ah.
I think
Ah.
I know Keith has seen this. I assume you have, but
Oh, you know I've seen it?
well, because of our decade, we saw it.
Oh. Okay.
Brittney probably wasn't born yet.
Can I take a guess?
Yes.
So we can make fun of complete
No,
Is it Plane, Trains, and Automobiles?
Good guess, but no, it's not.
That's what he said, like the decade thing. I was like, because like my dad likes that movie. But
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it.
Want to guess?
Isn't Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a Thanksgiving film?
It could be.
I
I
don't know
don't
if it
know.
was Thanksgiving or Christmas. I think you're
I've
right.
never
Maybe
seen it.
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never seen it.
Well, it's a good movie. You should definitely see it.
My
It's
dad
pretty
watched
funny.
it a lot.
So the movie's Gremlins.
Oh, man! That sucks. I love Gremlins.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah.
And it's a Christmas
That's
movie.
That's a horror Christmas
It is a
movie.
horror Christmas movie. That's my
Yeah.
maybe you would get it. So
Viewers, you should be disappointed with me in general. I feel like a
no,
horrible person.
no. All right.
That movie's devastating.
And well, yeah, and it was
So
PG.
sad.
That's the thing. It was PG.
Yeah.
What?
Kids don't understand what PG really means.
Perfectly
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right, number 10. Oh no, I'm afraid not. But you have me at a loss. You know my name, but who are you? Just another American who saw too many movies as a child? Another orphan of a bankrupt culture that thinks he's John Wayne, Rainbow, Keith.
Die Hard.
Dang.
And who says it?
That's Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber, yes. There's 2 points.
Just-
The Christmas season does not start until Hans Gruber falls off the Nakatomi.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ho, ho, ho. Got a machine gun.
Exactly. See, I could have added one of those, and I knew that would get it really quick. Or
Knight has, I told you earlier, Knight has that shirt.
Yeah.
He has a long sleeve gray shirt, and it looks like blood. It says ho, ho, ho.
yeah, all I had to say was yippee ki, and you guys would have had that. But I'm going to go a little different quote there from it. So, all right, number 11. Oh, sometimes the truth is painful, Frank. But it makes your cheeks rosy and your eyes bright as stars. Yes.
Is that Scrooge?
Yes.
Okay,
I was gonna
I was like,
say.
wait a second. I
And,
was like, wait a second.
Who,
It's the fairy. I don't know what her name is.
Fairy Godmother.
Yeah, it's the fairy godmother.
it is
It's just
Ghost
so
of Christmas Present.
This makes them so
It's so pink.
I love that movie.
I know.
Another really dark Christmas
It
movie. I
is.
don't know what my problem is.
I really like that
I
one too.
only like dark Christmas movies.
Just
I
like
don't-
Rudolph,
Yeah, I don't like
who's
Rudolph.
about which is really sad because Rudolph is basically about being a misfit and not being
Right.
appreciated.
You
And
think I would like it?
you would think so.
But no, I'm just like Scrooge, Gremlins.
Even though you
Batman
think of the
Returns.
Gremlins quote.
I know. I'm ashamed about myself that I didn't get a Gremlins quote.
All right. The final quote.
Uh-oh.
So we are at, that was number 9, so 9-4. The final quote. And then they sit there, use subliminal messages to suck your children's minds out. And I know what I'm talking about because when I went to junior college for a semester and I studied psychology, so I'm right there. You know what's going on. They make kids feel like garbage. And you, the father, who's working 24/7 delivering mail so you can make alimony payments to a woman who slept with everybody in your post office but me. And then when you get the toy, it breaks and you can't just fix it because it's cheap plastic.
Oh,
Forgot I was supposed to say.
yes.
The Jingle All the Way.
It is
Yes.
Jingle All the Way.
Look
I
at you.
have not seen that movie in like a decade, so I can't tell you who said it.
I
have
Arnold.
Okay.
It's
It's Arnold's character.
no, it's not Arnold. No. That
No,
is,
no. Tom Arnold's character.
no, it is what's his name? African American actor.
Sinbad.
Sinbad.
Couldn't have told you.
Hysterical.
Couldn't have told you who said it, but yeah.
Sinbad's character there. Yeah. All right. So that is our 12 quotes of Christmas. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys played along, and hopefully you guys even got a higher score. And if you did, that's okay because our experts over here, they did quite well. Brittney's our big winner of the quote game. Woo, woo. And then she didn't know Rudolph. It's okay.
Right, I didn't know the one I should have known, which was Rudolph.
Well,
All the other weird ones.
You did fantastic.
you did great. You nailed it. You
Thank
made
you.
it. You owned it.
Can't believe Batman Returns wasn't on there.
Well,
but
yeah.
Maybe
Maybe
year.
next year.
next year.
Maybe next year because
Next year.
I do like Batman Returns too. Meow.
I'm probably gonna watch that tonight. I finished my
That's a
Batman
good-
Returns Catwoman picture.
And it was beautiful. I saw it on Facebook. That was
It was really-
wonderful.
Really hard.
So
She's a difficult person to draw.
for those of you not following Brittney, need to. She's a wonderful artist, along with being a award-winning director and many other awesome talents. She rocks.
Thanks.
Big time.
So
Don't rock that much.
you do.
It's okay. I barely rock. I'm like a broken rocking chair.
For some reason, I think it's true, especially in kind of those of us that are more artistic. We look at what we do and we think, anybody can do that. It's whatever. I'm not that good. And honestly, we really do rock. We bring a lot of cool stuff. Keith has all this awesome knowledge, and I just am awe. Your artistic ability and your directing, I'm like, wow. As somebody who, basically was in college productions and stuff as bit parts in acting, I look at what you do and I'm just amazed by it.
Thank you.
So you guys are so phenomenal, and I appreciate that I get to work with you, and I think, oh, all I do is right. I'm like, okay.
No.
Honestly, that's not true either. You got to step back and say, okay, I do something different that other people don't do, and that's okay. I like it. So.
You rock too.
Well, thank
Don't
you.
listen.
I don't want to toot my
Don't
own horn,
listen.
but
Don't listen to yourself. You rock.
Well, but don't we tell ourselves
time.
that? We're always like, well, I'm not as good as they are, or whatever. No, we are actually really cool people.
We're a collective of rock, like
we
of
are.
rock
We
stars.
rock together. Yeah. We're like an A-tier band. People still watching are going,
I thought
what
you were
just
showing up
happened?
signs, but you're just like,
Yeah, gang signs. He's doing gang signs over here. It's
that's
all
what I
right.
was thinking was
Just
happening.
mysterious game signs.
I thought that was what was happening.
Oh,
I was wrong.
all right. Well, anything else we need to talk about for this episode?
I think we're good.
Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
See you next year.
For those that celebrate Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. I know what's going on now.
Yeah, happy
Yeah,
Hanukkah to you.
Yeah, and Kwanzaa. Yes, yes.
8 Crazy Nights, right?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it says? I like that song.
So, all right. For Larry Lytle of geekycool.com.
Big Keith Geek.
Brittney Greer of American Wasteland.
We'll see you next year.
What a sad.